Good afternoon. We're here at Esplanade at St. Mary's. I'm Nathan Steth from the Esplanade Resort Management Team. I'd like to introduce Chris Wilczynski, our architect.
Hey everybody.
So Chris, we're under construction. Can you start to tell us kind of what's happening at this stage of the process?
Yeah, if you were to look at the entire site, you'll see a lot of different things going on, but right here in front of us is really the first hole that we've completed. It's not complete because we haven't 100% finished the grassing, but the features, the bunkers are complete with the sand in the bunkers, the sod around the bunkers to stabilize everything. Up ahead there we have the green with the bunker next to it on the left. Cart path has been installed. We always line the cart path with sod to stabilize the edges. And then what you see that's remaining here, the rest of the brown area will be sprigged. Sprigging, and the grass that we're using is Bermuda grass, Tiff Tuft. But the sprigging process, again, of everything that's left in the middle here is they literally take this grass, they run it through a machine that chops it all up into small little pieces, dumps it down onto the ground, they run it over it with a crimper to push it into the soil, water it, and as long as we have water and heat, the grass will fill in, spread, and probably from the point that it gets put down until about 3-4 weeks later, we'll have a full mat of grass. It'll look just like the sodded areas. It literally will fill in that quick. And that's really the last step. Landscaping has gone in. You can see a group of palms here. So all the landscaping throughout the entire hole, both of these holes, 8 and 9, are in. And then, like I said, the last step is really putting in the final grass.
So when you go to construct the golf course and you're designing it, you kind of take us through the way the hole's built from start to finish.
So yeah, the first step is when we first start, we lay out the golf course. So we'll lay out, physically put a stake where the tee is, where the landing area is, where the green is. We'll start staking the highs and the lows, where the catch basins go and the high mounds. And so once we get that all established, then they start to move the soil. And again, the soil is coming from these lakes. Like there's a big lake here between 8 tee and 9 green. So that soil gets extracted out, dumped into the golf hole per our plan. So I should back up. We have a very detailed plan that shows everything that you see here is depicted on our plans. All the undulations, all the highs and the lows, locations of bunkers, locations of landscape beds. So we start with that plan and then they build it per that plan. And once they get it rough shaped, meaning that a big bulldozer has gone over it and kind of created the big landforms, we'll come out, review it, approve it, sign off on it for drainage installation. So once the model is kind of built or the landform, the next step is drainage. So if you look at back here, there's this black pipe that sticks up out of the ground. Those are drainage catch basins. So each of those will get cut down flush with the grass or the soil. An open grate will be installed on top of that where water can drain into that. And so if you look at the grading throughout the golf hole, everything is directed toward those low points. So all the water is getting collected in those drain basins and then put it back into the ponds. And so we're constantly recycling the water. Besides what we lose to evaporation, all the water is getting dumped on the golf course and it goes back into the lakes, and we're constantly recycling that water. And then once the drainage goes in, the next step after that is irrigation. We'll define where the landscape bed, so we don't want irrigation heads inside the landscape bed, so we'll mark out the irrigation heads, and then the irrigation consultant will come out here and physically lay out. And so you see, wherever you see these little blue flags, those are all irrigation heads. Those flags will go away. But the irrigation coverage literally goes from lot line, which is here to our right, behind us, lot line all the way over to the other lot line on number 9. And so we have coverage across the entire golf hole. We have really good irrigation coverage, wall to wall, from every square inch of the entire golf course has been irrigated.
When you think about the entire site, how many acres then compared to how many acres is the golf course going to be?
I think the site is, I could be wrong, but I think it's like 1,000 acres or something around that. The golf course proper is probably 120 acres, so a pretty small percentage of the overall property. Very
cool. Let's go up and check out a bunker and see if you can tell us all about that. So we're probably 120 yards from the green.
Yeah, I'd say that's about right.
What's unique, what I've noticed is the bunkers are looking at us. They've got faces, and sometimes you don't see the bunker at all, except the bottom of it when you get up to it. So
whereas these ones have a little bit more of a, like they're smiling at you, kind of a little bit. And the cool thing about this green too, and you can't really see it, is there's a back left section of that green that's kind of hidden behind this bunker. And so we talked earlier about angles, like easy angles and hard angles. The easy angle is to kind of bail out to the front right, miss it over there. You have the long section of the green to work with.
That's where I'll be.
The hard, yeah, me too. And then the hard angle, though, is like trying to go over top of the right side of that bunker to that back left pin. That's the challenging angle. But if we set up golf holes on angles, like this green is set up on an angle, and it's rewarding a shot that gets played down the right-hand side of the landing area, where the green is open to it, versus if you were to bail out left off of the tee, you're going to have that angle coming over that bunker. And so as long as we set up angles, we're able to challenge like every level of golfer, but also provide options to play away from the hard angles and kind of have some easy up and down recoveries.
A lot of homes around the golf course, which sometimes it could be seen like it's too close, but I like the fact that the homes are set back and they're a little elevated for views for them and to give the golfer. When you look at the greens, though, what a backdrop with all the natural setting.
Yeah, and that backdrop will never change. That's an existing wetland that we had to preserve, and so that'll never change. You'll always see that. But yeah, that is the one nice thing about this golf course is having that backdrop, having that that frame essentially around a lot of the golf holes.
Yeah, I didn't see this whole left side of the green from back in the fairway. You couldn't tell.
Yeah, it's interesting because that little shoulder of the bunker kind of blocks it. But yeah, a big green that's pretty open, to the front. It's hard to tell because it's all white and there's not a lot of contrast. But this green has a big step in the middle of it there. So there's like a lower plateau, and then it steps up, a good 2 feet to that upper back left plateau. When we're all done, the last step, like once we grow in all the grass and it all looks like this, we will physically come out here with a paint gun, a marking gun, and paint the fairways. So the fairway lines out here is really just a mowing detail of mowing it lower, but we will physically paint out where the fairways go. And so, for example, like the right side of this green, that'll all be fairway kind of running, so the ball that hits on the right-hand side will hopefully kick onto the green. So again, like hard angle over here to the left, easy angle over here to the right.
You can bump it up and run it up, which is awesome.
And that's something that I try to incorporate in most of our designs is the ability to run the ball onto the green. I grew up in the Midwest, and there's a gazillion Donald Ross golf courses, and he was like that was one of his staples, was allowing a golfer to run the ball onto the green. There may be like little nooks and crannies of the green that are really tough to get to, but for the most part, he always left the front of the green open, and I think that's a really important part of creating playability.